Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about astrological predictions from the 20th of December to the 17th of January. And that's going to kick off from the Sagittarius New Moon at 28 degrees. So that's going to bring us right into 2026. My name is Deborah Lina. I'm a professional astrologer practicing Western and Vedic techniques, and we'll be using some of those techniques to delineate what's happening in the month ahead, giving you practical tools, so practical information that you can use in your day-to-day. So the Sagittarius New Moon is actually between the 17th to the 20th of December. And even though it is the last new moon of the year, so it's bringing us into that big new year feeling, I also want to say that unless your birthday is around the end of December or early Jan, this time of year is not necessarily the most important time to get your astrological readings. I say that because it's always the busiest time of year, but also because people can get a little bit panicked about needing to get everything done, and then after January 1st, things need to be in a row. The thing is, we have plenty of days in the year where we can begin again, where we can begin a new cycle, either professionally or personally or whatever, in whatever capacity that we're looking for. So bear in mind that yes, it is always amazing to collectively celebrate the start of the new calendar year, but at the same time, there's plenty of times that we can choose to do that. Now, if you want to take advantage of this video fully, please watch the entire introduction and then go back and listen to the rising sign. There's a lot of information that I'm not going to repeat in these different sections. If you don't know your rising sign, check the chart calculator in the description box in my link tree, wherever you're watching this, and look for the ascendant after you type in your birth information. So I have included a little bit of information about the sun sign, but not so much. Please bear in mind that this information you're receiving today is generalized information. If you would like something that is more accurate to your particular life circumstance, then I recommend getting a reading, because that's going to give you all the nuances that you're looking for. Some of the things that I'm saying may not apply to your chart. Okay, so keep that in mind with this video and other videos that you're watching on YouTube. So to start with, the Sagittarius New Moon is a bit of a wild one. I always like to say that it's a pack of wild horses running into the sunset. That is the general feeling of Sagittarius. So if we don't know in which direction that we're heading to, that can be a little bit overwhelming, and it can become a little bit of a manic energy. That is some of the energy that we're going to be experiencing for this particular new moon. It has a little bit of a cerebral quality. And so if you don't have your wits about you, you could be taken off guard. Have your support network, call your friends, make sure that you've got your community, because this is a insomnia kind of new moon where there's a lot of ideas and not all of them are good ones. I'm saying this because there's a bit of tension in the skies where we are feeling very motivated about certain things, but we may not always have that best judgment in place. So during the time of the new moon, journal, write your ideas down, share them with people, whatever it is that you feel allows you to process it, but maybe wait a few days after the new moon energy in order to decide to begin. The other part about this new moon is that it is actually very motivating. So we will want to get off our butts and get things done. This is not a bad thing, but to bear in mind that because there's a little bit of this manic energy, that can sometimes not be in our favor. We also are going to feel passion. Okay, there's a lusty kind of transit where either romantically or we're getting passionate about whatever area of life that new moon is lighting up. So it could be something professional, it could be a new hobby. It doesn't just have to be sexual, but it definitely can be. My recommendation is to make sure that you're getting plenty of exercise during this particular new moon, firing up those glutes, firing up those quads, the Sagittarius body parts, making sure you're getting those endorphins to clear your mind, because you're going to be feeling the effects of the wave of energy, especially if you have a lot of fire, a lot of Leo, a lot of Aries, a lot of Sag in your chart. This one's going to be for you. This is also going to be for you if you have planets at 28 degrees or if you have your ascendant degree there. And I know that this is a little bit technical, but I'm trying to be more specific where I can, because then you will better understand that this new moon is more applicable for you, that you may feel what I'm talking about a little bit more. And this 28 degrees is that special number that we've been having the last few months, and that January, February, and March's new moons are also about 28 degrees as well. So if you're feeling like things are really on fire, you probably have these 28 degree activated in your chart. So to summarize for this Sagittarius new moon is we are feeling motivated, we are feeling energetic, we are feeling passionate, but we have a little bit of this manic energy about us. So learning to create some balance for ourselves during this time is going to be super important, especially because just in general, the holiday season for many cultures around this time is a bit of a stressful time already. Now, in terms of what's happening for this month ahead, is that we actually don't have as many planetary changes as we've been having the last few months and as we're going to be having the next few months. So I actually see this as a period where we're sandwiched astrologically between crazy last few months and kind of crazy next few months. And that's not in a way to scare you at all. It's just to say that there's less planetary activity in this month that we're talking about. One of the key things is that we are moving into Capricorn season on the 21st of December, and that's going to give us a little bit of grounding energy. So immediately after this new moon, which is like, wow, a little bit crazy, we're grounding down. And this is, of course, the solstice period. It's one of the 4 important markers, the 2 solstices and the 2 equinoxes, that delineate the calendar for us. And it is another indication of a little bit of a fresh start. So if you are somebody that missed the new moon between the 17th and the 20th, you still have the 21st of December to begin again. And the Capricorn season this time is actually going to help us anchor into a more stealth energy where we have this capacity to take action without running in too many different directions. So it's very different from the energy of the new moon. That's why I'm suggesting that if you want to make some decisions, please wait until after the 21st, because then the energy will already begin to start calming down. I especially like the period at the end of December and early January, where our ability to take action with intelligence and with responsibility is increased. So as the month moves along, we get better and better at our decision making. The 1st of January until the 20th is actually a period which allows us to have a bit of a calm mind. It's not a bad way to start the year. This is another reason why I'm saying if you've got a lot of ideas about next year, wait until the 1st of January, because actually it's conveniently positioned in a way that can allow you to make more sound decision making. The 3rd of January is also a big full moon. This is a supermoon, so we do have this more explosive energy coming into the new year. It is very different from the last year. Last year, in the end of 2024, we actually began the year with a new moon. So the energy was much darker. It was much more contained. And this year, we're beginning with a full moon. The light is going to be bright outside. So there is a sense of renewal in that way. So there is a sense of enthusiasm, I would say, for the new year. We're starting off with a much more calm mind. We've got a big full moon that's going to kind of blast us into this new year. The full moon is going to be on the 3rd of January at 13 degrees of Cancer. So if you have placements in Cancer or Capricorn, this one's going to be more important for you. And of course, I'm going to be talking about how each of these full moons are going to affect you by rising sign. But it's safe to say that we have an exciting start to the beginning of 2026. Around the 8th of January, we also have Mars and Venus coming together in Aquarius, and this is going to be a passionate combination. So it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, although it definitely can be, as I mentioned before. But you can also look back to around early 2022 when Mars and Venus came together in this sign. They've been doing this dance for the last couple of months, so this is kind of like the big hurrah where they finally meet. And maybe the thing that you're passionate about has some type of apex around these first couple of weeks of January. So again, another indicator of this kind of playful and exciting energy that we're beginning with 2026. So as you can see for this new moon, things are actually relatively calm. Although we begin with a bit of a wild energy with the Sagittarius new moon, we immediately go into Capricorn season. We immediately get this much more calm and reserved capacity to make decisions as we begin the 1st of January. The full moon, the supermoon on the 3rd of January, can give us a little bit of an emotional boost, let's say, and I'll be talking about that. But relatively speaking, there's not a whole lot going on that I think is worth mentioning until we're going to hit next month. So let's begin with our rising signs. Aries Rising, these are your predictions from the 20th of December to the 17th of January, kicking off with the Sag New Moon at 28 degrees. And this month is about exploration, it's about expansion of your mind, it's about adventure, but it is also about your professional ambitions. So I'm suggesting that you merge those two. Rather than go on adventure for adventure's sake, there's a sense of going on an adventure or going on an exploration in order to better clarify what you're looking for professionally. This is going to be really important groundwork for the next couple of years, which is super important for Aries Rising. So at this time, you actually have a lot of work to be doing from a career perspective. It doesn't actually feel very much like a holiday, let's say. And that's because it isn't. You have to make hay when the astrological planets align. And right now is that professional opportunity. If you have things that you're looking to act on, do it. After the 2nd of January, you're going to start to get even more focused on professional ambitions. So that's going to be more clear for you, more of an opportunity to talk with partners, collaborators, clients, your audience, anyone that you're doing business with. This is going to be even more important as we enter into the new year. And around the 3rd of January, we have our big supermoon in Cancer. So for this one, it's actually about bringing you back home, bringing you back to your roots, getting grounded again. This can be something very simple, like getting in touch with yourself emotionally, or it can be something quite literal, like needing to deal with something in your home. A parent may need you at this time, and you kind of have to take a step away from work in order to deal with something in your home life. Either way, those few days is about getting back in touch with your emotional roots. Again, this grounding is going to help you move forward for the rest of the year. Also, we have a couple of days between the 8th to the 11th of January. This is a time when passions can run high, and it's actually very nice for thinking about your bigger vision and your bigger goals. However, if you are interested in dating, then the 9th to the 11th of January is kind of a nice time to go out and put yourself out there, go on a few dates, hang out with friends, maybe hang out with friends that you don't usually hang out with in order to meet new people. There's that kind of energy going on. So it's a social time. You can use those few days to put yourself out there. Taurus Rising, these are your predictions from the 20th of December to the 17th of January, kicking off with the Sagittarius New Moon at 28 degrees. And these last couple of months have been pretty relentless. You may feel like you've got a lot on your plate, like you've been throwing all these balls in the air and they're all still in the air. And the new moon kind of reinforces that. So mental health watch is one for you. Taking all the tools that you know to be good for you and utilizing them during these few days, especially between the 17th and the 20th of December when we have that Sagittarius new moon. That being said, after the new moon, things start to alleviate a little bit. So after the 25th, you're going to see some changes. After the 2nd of January, you're also going to start to see some changes. Things are slowly shifting. This is also a very important period for contemplating on the things that motivate you, even though you don't feel like you have the luxury of thinking about what you stand for or what you believe in right now, because you're kind of in crisis management mode. But things will start to improve. And so even taking some small steps in order to think about what you stand for will be helpful. For example, you might listen to an audiobook of a subject matter that has been of interest to you, but you just never got around to it. Just start. This is also a wonderful time to lean on the people around you. Lean on your neighbors, your community, your friends. Get your neighbor to watch your kid. Do something that allows you to feel a little bit more supported during this time. The 3rd of January is the Cancer full moon at 13 degrees. You might be taking a trip. It might spark your curiosity. You might get excited about a couple of new things. So we do start to see an improvement. So again, even though we're starting off with a bit of a manic new moon, we are starting 2026 off with a different, more calm energy. Gemini Rising, these are predictions from the Sagittarius New Moon on the 28th of December to the 17th of January. And these last couple of months have been a lot to do with your relationships, whether that's romantic or contractual, business relationships. But this new moon is a reinforcement of some of those themes. So we're not quite done yet. And if you need to end some of those relationships, that might take place around this new moon, where, it's time to let some of those things go. That being said, it can also be very much about needing to communicate more effectively and not putting your foot in your mouth, because that can be the habit of the Sagittarius new moon. So if you are going to be having important conversations, maybe do it right after the new moon as opposed to right on it. This month is also important for both financial housekeeping as well as internal housekeeping. It's a nice way to begin the new year where you have to do a little bit of accounting for yourself, clean out everything, and make sure that you're starting the year off right. And this is also important because after February, things professionally may start to gain traction, where some things might have been stuck in the mud. You might feel like, okay, actually things are alleviating. So this financial housekeeping, getting your ducks in a row in that area of life might be beneficial for this next phase. And also, the 3rd of January is going to be this culmination point for possibly some financial themes. This is especially true for you if you are 20, 32, 44, or 56, where this full moon is especially important for you. Pay attention to the signs, pay attention to the events. That's going to give you information for what some of those themes are for you this year. In addition, we are also talking about some internal housekeeping. So, kind of going through the cobwebs of things that you have been putting off that you need to deal with. This might be a really good time to call your therapist again or renew your commitment to them. Or find a new one. So you're getting ready for the new year on these different levels. For my Gemini Sun friends out there, born between the middle to the 3rd week of June, the new moon on the 17th to the 20th of December might be a little bit overwhelming for you. So really protecting your mental health, taking your nervines. I'm a really big fan of passion flower. Anything that can calm your nervous system. Don't overburden yourself. Don't fry yourself before the end of the year. Cancer Rising, these are your predictions from the 20th of December to the 17th of January, kicking off with the Sagittarius New Moon at 28 degrees. And the last couple of months have been pretty relentlessly crazy. There has been a lot of life administration, but also maybe dealing with some personal projects, some passion projects that you're excited about. So it doesn't necessarily have to be negative, but it's been a lot. And the new moon sort of finalizes those themes, let's say. So we're not completely out of that energy just yet. And protecting not only your mental health, but your physical health around this time will be important. So don't overdo it. This is in fact a great time to start a new habit, drop a bad one. It's obviously a really nice timing with the new year, which is, I know, a period when a lot of people like to reinvigorate their health journey. So if that's something that you're thinking about, this is a wonderful time to do that. It is also a period in which you could meet a lot of people. So if you are looking to date, if you are looking to meet new acquaintances, get new clients, whatever it might be, putting yourself out there might actually be beneficial. However, where dealing with people is concerned, you don't want to get into any lawsuits with people. You don't want to take anyone to court around now. Don't take out a loan. Okay, there are some areas which are a little bit iffier and to be mindful about. Now, things culminate, of course, on the 3rd of January, which is the big Cancer supermoon in your sign. It's about relationships. It's definitely one about contracts, meeting people. So we get kind of a glorious start to 2026 with the full moon being so close to a traditional New Year's Eve and a New Year's Day. And that also culminates further around the 8th of January, where if you are in a relationship or you're looking to get into a new contract of some type, there might be a period where that gets really highlighted. So we do have a bit of an intense start with this new moon in Sagittarius, but as we move along the month, you're going to find that you're getting more and more motivated as you move into 2026. For my Cancer Sun friends born around the 1st week of July, this full moon on the 3rd of January is a sort of mini rebirth. Now, traditionally, it's a lower time of year physically, but because of the transits that we're having, it can actually be quite motivating. So you can use this not only as your little personal rebirth, but you get a little boost of energy, even if it's emotional energy, around that 3rd of January full moon. Leo Rising, these are predictions from the 20th of December to the 17th of January, kicking off with the Sag New Moon at 28 degrees. And this one is about your creativity. It's about your inner fire and your inner passion. I'm saying this because I think it's a good idea for you to go to that holiday party. It's not 100% smooth new moon where you're going to get exactly what you want, but it's not a good reason to stay home. And I'm encouraging you to go out and explore your inner child and explore some of that playfulness, because the general feeling of 2025 has been a little bit heavier, has been more serious. You've had to deal with a lot more things internally. So from that perspective, this new moon can allow you to open up your mind a little bit and remember all of the things that you get excited about. So again, there is a little bit of friction. It's not 100% smooth, but nonetheless, try something new. This new moon is also a great time to instill some good spiritual practices for yourself. Again, because it's a Sagittarius new moon, it might be one of just active meditation or Tritaka, something that really goes with that fire energy. Try not to oblige yourself to sit very still over those few days, because I think you might actually need to exert some of that energy and let things flow a little bit more. At the same time, this period is also life admin heavy, so it's not exactly only free falling into the bliss of your spiritual practices and your passion projects. You're also just really busy in general. Taking some time during the new moon to honor the fact that, hey, I'm a Leo and I need to have a good time is okay, as long as it's helping you stay in the parameters of your good mental health. Things shift as we move into early January, with the 3rd of January being a Cancer full moon at 13 degrees. And over those couple of days when you're feeling like, oh gosh, there's a lot of work and I also need a lot of rest, choose a lot of rest. Choose a lot of rest during the 3rd and 4th of January. Get yourself refreshed in time for an important year ahead. Virgo Rising, these are predictions from the 20th of December to the 17th of January, kicking off with the Sag New Moon at 28 degrees. And home is where the heart is. That's a good motto for this particular new moon. Everything that's domestically centered, your home, your family, property, that's where all the energy is going to. And it may look like redecorating or moving some furniture around in order to just feel a little bit more emotionally centered. Or it could be something much bigger where there's some tension going on with a member of your family or someone that you're in a relationship with, and some of that kind of comes to a head during the new moon. So my recommendation is to leave those really intense and important subjects to after the new moon. Maybe take some time to contemplate on it during the actual lunation. And I'm saying that because relationships have been an ongoing theme for this year. So we don't want to exacerbate something that's already there. As we move into the new year, the energy starts to shift. So you can start to ask yourself, what does it mean for me to show up as myself? What is my true hopes and dreams for 2026 and beyond? So in this case, we want to start thinking laterally. We want to start thinking big picture. Don't get too bogged down into all of those little details, because Virgo Rising is the #1 culprit for getting out that planner at the start of the year and trying to map out every single thing that's happening. So instead, allow yourself to just kind of think big. And this is especially true because that full moon on the 3rd of January is encouraging you to have that big picture thinking. And remember, you still have time to capitalize on that. It's not just the full moon, but it's a good place to start. Libra Rising, these are your predictions from the 20th of December to the 17th of January, kicking off with the Sagittarius New Moon at 28 degrees. And this one is a bit of a social time. So it's been a period of dotting around. You're here one day and there another. Maybe things around your community, meeting lots of different kinds of people, learning new things, writing. There's been this kind of busy energy, and that's still going to be the case for this new moon. Making sure that you don't feel like you're running around like a headless chicken is one of the objectives of this particular lunation. That being said, it's a great time to get all your friends together and meet new people, introduce people that are from your professional network even, so not just hanging out with people that you know. And even if you're looking to meet somebody, there could be platonic relationships that become less platonic. So there is that energy also happening around the new moon. Now, after the 24th, things start to shift where you're focusing more on your home life and you're thinking more domestically. Maybe you need to take care of something in your home. That could be the physical roof over your head or a family member that you're looking after. And this is the energy that's going to be present until the end of this period that we're talking about. However, on the 3rd of January, we get a supermoon in Cancer. So That's going to light up the career part of your chart. And it's going to serve as a reminder that this year is still about your professional ambitions. And this is especially true if you are 21, 33, 45, or 57. So that's where the career part is really going to be important for you. And this particular lunation is also going to be important. So sometimes it can feel like during this time, you're not able to focus on that part of your life, but this full moon will put you right back in the place that you want to be. Scorpio Rising, these are your predictions from the 20th of December to the 17th of January, kicking off with the Sagittarius New Moon at 28 degrees. And this new moon is very simply about money. It's about making money, it's about spending money. Maybe you spent a little bit too much money in the last month and now you're rethinking, what was my strategy? What is my strategy? Am I happy with it? Do I need to rethink it? And the Sag New Moon really allows us to revisit that. However, there could be some more expenses coming your way during that period, and it could be something like you're spending on someone else. It needn't be only you going on your own shopping spree. So there's that thing happening around the 17th to the 20th of December. At the same time, there's also this degree of curiosity that's happening for you right now. Maybe you're consuming a lot of information. Maybe you're listening to a lot of podcasts, reading articles. There could be just allowing your mind to go into these different directions because of your curiosity, and that's okay. That's happening for you at the moment. However, once we get into the full moon on the 3rd of January, that could really spark something like a deeper quest for what is it that you're going to, what is it that you truly want to do. Maybe you listened to a bunch of podcasts, or maybe you read a bunch of books and now you're ready to take it to the next level, find a teacher, educate yourself, really go deep with the subject in the way that you know how. So we're oscillating from a little bit of mental craziness at the start of this new moon into something that I feel is more directed and purposeful as we move into the 3rd of January. All that being said, around the 11th of January, we're also seeing the culmination of a bit of lustiness, of a bit of passion that has been an undercurrent for the entire time that we've been discussing, but has not been a dominant theme. So if you are in a relationship, or that you're interested in being in a relationship, that hunger and that thirst could really come about in the new year. Sagittarius Rising, these are your predictions from the 20th of December to the 17th of January, kicking off with none other than the Sagittarius New Moon at 28 degrees. So we know that it's going to be a personal rebirth. And I hate using that word where it's not necessary. So when I'm using it, you know that I'm serious. This year has been a little bit contemplative. There's been some internal consolidation that's necessary, some internal purging. It hasn't been necessarily lighthearted in all respects. So this particular period is a time where you're taking stock. You're seeing what else kind of needs doing. What is it that is working for me and what isn't that's not. The period between the 17th to the 20th of December is especially potent during that new moon time to just take a little bit of time aside and focus on that. Having said that, up until about Christmas time, you are quite magnetic. So you may feel a little bit more like you want to have a makeover, or you get a little trigger happy with your credit card. That could be one of the things that you need to pay attention to if that's something that's relevant for you. We also have this concurrent theme of money and finances playing out at this time. So there could be a little bit of extra spending. Yes, that could be you spending on a makeover. It could be just you spending just in general or focusing on money. And we have a little bit of a culmination around the 3rd of January where you're going back to that internal housekeeping mode, maybe thinking about your rainy day fund, maybe thinking about your taxes, or thinking about the money that you need to save in order to make your career transition. So there's a bunch of things that make it a little bit more serious as we enter into that 3rd of January supermoon. But it comes as part of the overall theme for this month, which is this is a Sagittarius new moon. It is a great opportunity for you to begin again. For my Sagittarius Sun friends out there, if you are born between the 2nd to the 20th of December, this new moon is a powerful time to begin again. However, if you are born between the 17th to the 20th of December, this is even more potent time to have a fresh start, because the sun and moon are both in Sagittarius, really lighting up that sense of power, that sense of purpose, and that sense of motivation for you. In general, this new moon is going to be a motivating time, even though there's some friction involved with it, which I talked about in my introduction. it's still one in which all of that superpower Sag energy is moving you forward. Capricorn Rising, these are your predictions from the 20th of December to the 17th of January, kicking off with the Sagittarius New Moon at 28 degrees. And this is an interesting one because you have the agility and the strength and vitality, excitement for life at the moment, and yet there's also this mental exhaustion. And the new moon is highlighting this mental exhaustion portion. In some sense, there is a need to pare back and not let that mental overwhelm dominate the conversation. It's a reminder that a lot of the themes this year has been about making sure that your mental health is in check, knowing that you've got your good healthy habits. I have spoken about this in other videos already, but I think it's just so important, and sometimes it's a little bit less tangible to people because it's not an obvious career transit or a family transit. This one is about something internal that you're doing in order to get a healthy sense of competition for yourself without overwhelming yourself. Now, you are also in the period of feeling very magnetic and being very magnetic. A lot of attention is being drawn to you. This is especially the case after the 24th, when relationships become a bigger theme, and into the supermoon in Cancer, the full moon on the 3rd of January, where, yeah, a lot of relationship themes can kind of come to a head at that time. But remember, if you're coming off of a period of the new moon, which has been a little bit mentally draining, get your healthy checks in place so that you can benefit from a fresh start in the new year. Aquarius Rising, these are your predictions from the 20th of December to the 17th of January, kicking off with the Sagittarius New Moon at 28 degrees. And this new moon is about all of those what-if scenarios, all of those big dreams, those crazy ideas that you've had, and really taking some time to ruminate on them. The new moon is between the 17th to the 20th of December, so you do in fact have plenty of time to dedicate to that. You can dedicate a few hours, you can dedicate all those 4 days, but you still have that amount of time to marinate in it. Are there going to be obstacles? Yes, there will be. This is not an easy new moon by any means, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be thinking about these things. It could be something like, where am I going to get the money to fund this? How am I going to be able to support this idea financially? That's been one of the themes that's going on for you this year. So there's a tie-in between the financial piece and also your big dreams, especially as we move into that Cancer full moon on the 3rd of January, where you'll be stuck in this tug of war between all of the things that you need to get done in order to move into your new life, and also all the things that you kind of wish you could escape from. So bear that in mind around that time, that there may be a lot more administration in your life than you would like. At the same time, this is also an invitation to go into some of your spiritual work. Maybe take some time between the 20th of December to the 17th of January, where you go on a bit of a retreat, where you pull yourself away from life a little bit and do some inner contemplation. And I encourage you to do that in some small way. Even if you can't get away, you just take one day or you take a couple of hours to yourself where you can ruminate on what it is that you want 2026 to look like. Because this year is going to be very different for you, and it's going to be one of those shape-shifting years. So I would say you're not going to have the same amount of time to consider all of those internal workings once the new year begins. And this is especially true when we hit this turning point date of the 17th of January, where it's going to be like full steam ahead. And I will be talking more about that in my next video, which is going to be much more relevant for you. But consider this as the foundation and groundwork for what's to come. Pisces Rising, these are your predictions from the 20th of December to the 17th of January, kicking off with the Sagittarius New Moon at 28 degrees. And this one is about your professional ambitions. So there's already been a focus of this in the last couple of months. The new moon is kind of tying up those loose ends and really making you think more seriously about that area of your life. But it's also including this idea of, am I feeling aligned with what I'm doing? Do I feel like my creativity is really being represented in my work? It doesn't mean that if it isn't, that you have to drop that career or drop that job. It just means that maybe it's revealing to you some areas of your life where you're feeling a little bit of friction. Okay, so there's an opportunity to think about that. This whole time period is also very important for getting out there, meeting new people, putting yourself into different communities that you wouldn't otherwise think of in order to think a little bit more laterally. You may actually have an opportunity to meet a lot of people at this time, and I mean you know, even putting yourself on LinkedIn. So it could also be some type of digital platform that you start to get more excited about, or that you start to get more motivated around, and you feel like that would be really helpful for your career and your professional identity. This, of course, culminates around the 3rd of January, where we have a big supermoon in Cancer, so a full moon. And this one is really about what it means to be creative for you. So maybe for a while you want to kind of drop this idea of what everybody else needs in your life in order for you to feel whole, in order for you to feel excited, or you get some inspiration around, actually, I could really incorporate this part of my life into my current career. Okay, so there's also an opportunity for integration as well. And it could just be a time where you get really busy with your kids. If you've got kids, that might also be a theme that sort of dominates the first part of the month. Personally, I feel like this new moon is the foundation for what's going to be a pretty interesting February to June period for you, where you might start to feel like yourself a little bit more. There's been a lot of grit, there's been a lot of hard work, and we've been talking about that in the last few videos already. But the period between February to June is going to be slightly different for you. So this new moon will lay the foundation for that.